the guru of Squad Double Zero, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do. One of the most notorious YouTube anime and manga community. Don't doubt the infamy, please. I'm back, y'all. Like I ever left? Please. Now, this video specifically has two sources, two reasons as to why it's being produced. The first has to go to me, myself, okay, the king of live streams, who is Northside Z, as well as listen to my reviews, Eric. Shout out to Northside, Eric, and the professor of Squad Double Zero, which is Speak123. Shout out to Speak. Now, Speak tagged all of us. I don't know why he chose us, but he tagged us to do this favorites tag video. One does not simply do that. One does not simply challenge me, tag me, none of that. You don't do that. Because what happens? I don't know, spontaneous explosion of what the hell happens. Now, as usual, I do my own style of things. I ain't gonna front. I've been also, the second reason, been thinking about doing this video for a while. Top 10 anime manga, top 10 top 10 favorite anime and manga characters, and as well as other favorite videos I may do on down the line. But the thing is, he was asking about all these different types of favorites and best. Man, look, I'm not gonna sit here. I don't mind thinking, but I'm not gonna sit down for hours upon hours, racking my brain, continually racking my brain, trying to go through all the anime and manga I've come across. And I've read and watched too much. There's too much information for me to retain in a specific time, and then trying to do all this and that. So I'm dropping that top 10 favorite anime and manga characters. And hopefully this is some insight into my perception, the way I think, my interests, because each one of these characters shows a different side of myself, as well as what I look for in characters. In order to make any of my favorites, especially any top 10 lists I have, you got to be legit. You got to earn that. Okay, one does not simply enter. You may be a cool character, you may be a character I really get down with in life, but to enter into a top 10, one does not simply just slide into it. And then once one is in there, one is concretely in there until someone greatly, a character full-blown comes over. But the higher up you go, the likely it ain't really gonna change. So, without further ado, coming in at number 10, because there's quite a few honorable mentions. Okay, I gotta find out. Thorfinn from that Vinland Saga Greatness has the potential to join the list. Possibly some character or two from Dead Man Wonderland, for example. Seven Seeds has a potential to enter when I continue those two series. Other ones, definite honorable mention is, for example, Kamishiro Yu from that Holy Land Greatness, man. But no, even Kamishiro Yu did not make the list. But number 10, who starts it off? It is none other than the cerebral one, the red-haired fox himself. Wait for it. Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, I ain't gonna front, I'm not the biggest fan of YYH, but it doesn't matter. When you're a phenomenal character, it doesn't matter what series you're in, you just about that life. When I say cerebral, okay, this dude Kurama, from the beginning of the series, this dude's strategy, this dude stay thinking. Throughout the series, he just proves it time and time again. His intelligence is bar none within the series. People may throw up shit now. Give it that I'm still gradually finishing up the series. But regardless, this dude outthinks, outlasts. Okay, he Survivor. He embodies the theme of Survivor. If you know the show very well, clap it up for that Survivor greatness. And I don't just casually throw around the word greatness, okay? But this dude, not only is he's strategic, he's very cerebral. Oh my goodness, I love the mental games he plays, especially in the House of Four Dimensions. What he did in that dimension, none of them. Urameshi Yusuke obviously couldn't beat him. Hiei couldn't win. And Kuwabara, please stop. But Kurama out with yo. And then his ability, simple, throwing with. But let me tell you about these plants. Yo, the plants, too legit, man. Too legit. And what cemented him in my top 10 is Yoku Kurama. That name. Yoku Kurama makes no sense. The demon control. This dude's too hacks. This dude's too lethal. People don't know. You don't know about Yoku Kurama, man. Yo, Poison Ivy, where you at? Yoku Kurama, the truth. But yeah, man, for all that, the cerebral game, his skills, his tactical side, his strategy, all that, you understand? His cool, calm, calculated personality, his experience, all those elements, he definitely deserves a spot in my top 10 list. Coming in at number 9. Some may argue that it's not, well, many say it's not an anime, but I don't care. Coming from Samurai Jack, he is the protagonist himself. Samurai Jack, yo, dude, Jack, dude, man. Great, a legendary series from the early 2000s. Oh man, I could do a whole video on Jack as a character. This dude here, man. The training he went through, the battles, the constant emotional, the mental turmoil he has to do, the physical state he has to do, the wanderer, okay, constantly in combat events, whether it be bounty hunters or Aku's forces, Aku himself, this and that. This dude, he faces all kinds. His mentality, he sees equal playing field. I mean, philosophically, this dude's phenomenal. Remembering that one episode where he remembers childhood, the lessons he learned, like he sees no, species, it doesn't matter. He's ready and willing to help you. You understand? Oh, the Woolly tribe, I remember the jumping episode, phenomenal. These dudes are fighting genius. There's so much to love about Samurai Jack. And he's one of my 4 most related characters in anime manga. I think is he number 2 or number 3? I think he's number 3. He's number 3 actually. It's so much I gravitate toward him. His personality, but then he flips. Yo, I remember that one episode where he fought himself, and had to banish evil. So I can relate to that. Other characters more so, but there's so many elements to Samurai Jack that I see within myself. He's different, but similar to myself. Coming in at number 8, another controversial. Is it really an anime? I consider it such. It's done in an anime style just like Samurai Jack, and it has the values in anime. Coming from Avatar: The Last Airbender, my girl. Those who know me know exactly who coming off. That's my. Let's go. One of my all-time favorite female characters. I consider one of the all-time best female characters. Toph, man. She's another one I could do an entire video. And I spoke in pretty lengthy detail. And I think my Q&A number 1 video. Okay. Toph, man. Her struggles, yo. Her being blind. Now, while I wasn't a lone child, I can feel her because she felt isolated. She had no friends. But even when she gained friends in Aang, Avatar Aang, Katara, Zuko. No, well, yeah, eventually Zuko. Zuko and her were pretty tight. But eventually Zuko, Sokka? Was it Sokka? I'm trying to remember. I always forget Sword Boy's name. But, and just dealing with the one chick who Sokka was interested in, the painted faces girl. Just dealing with all that in a relationship. She was part of the group, she was of the group, but never really part of it. Okay, she was cool. She was friends with them. she's very strong. She had to become strong at a very young age. Many doubted her. Many tried to kind of cut, put her in a box. I can relate. She's obviously my most relatable character in anime and manga. Oh my goodness, tough, and the way she thinks, she's so skilled. I mean, she developed metal bending. She learned sand bending, earth bending. She's an earth bending master at prodigy at a young age. People didn't know. She learned from the Badgers, a very unconventional way. Okay, competed in the underground tournament, and just her progression, her development as a character is phenomenal. And the one main kicker that I could really relate to, for the longest time, is having crushes or liking, and pretty much being in the friend zone. Pretty much all your friends, can get with somebody, but you're left out. You're always the third wheel, the wingman, or whatever else, and just stuff like that. And there's more to her character that I absolutely just gel with. Like I can feel it. We on the same frequency. Could be best friends at least. Coming in at number 7, from that Hunter greatness. Now, while I will say this, Togashi's legendary, but people overhype him. But it doesn't matter. Again, this has nothing to do with the mangaka or the series themselves. But the other one, Kurama's brother from another mother, Kurapika Kurta. This dude, Kurapika's, yo, that's my dude. Man, this dude is one of the main reasons as to why I am in Hunter x Hunter. Yes, he's my favorite character in Hunter x Hunter. Okay? This dude, oh my gosh. Kurapika. Cerebral. His intelligence is on point. His usually calm, cool, collected, calculated, like Kurama, on point. The fact is, the dude's skills on point, but then he flips, and his emotions that drive him, the passion, the way he has to deal with his darkness, internal darkness, and just how he deals with the group. Again, of the group. I mean, dealings with the group, but never really of the group. His friendships are very interesting. They're very complex. The relationships he has with other people. At times, he becomes isolated. Okay? And people, they're trying to label him. They're trying to tell him, yo, you don't want it. And trying to guide him in this direction. When in reality, his fate has him driving him somewhere else. So people don't quite understand it. So he's struggling with different things. I can relate so much to his struggles. I can relate so much to his mental frame. I can relate so much to the character. And besides just what he does and the stakes, the high risk, high reward, how he gets down. I mean, he's willing to go against one of the most powerful groups in the entire world, in the Phantom Troop. His quest is for revenge, but it may turn out to be vengeance. But in the same time, Phantom Troop, it gets very dicey. But, it's not just him on a quest for revenge. It's him for the legacy of his clan that he watched get massacred. And it's different from someone say, well, what about Uchiha Sasuke? It's a completely different animal. It really is. There was a lot of other factors within that because of Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Obito, and the whole thing, Uchiha Shinsui, and all that, Danzo, and all that. It was a bunch of conglomeration of other variables. But when it came to it, man, this young man, me against the world, and then some, okay? And where he's at now with the whole, I don't want to be a spoiler, but if you caught up the whole Young Don, pretty much how he is with the mafia, it's like, what the hell? He went from this guy at the beginning of the series to this guy? Yo, the complexities of his character, phenomenal. Moving on to not belabor the point. Coming in on number 6, anyone who's talked to me recently knows how much I'm in love with the series. That Tokyo Ghoul greatness came up in there. I'm talking about the manga. Forget the anime. I ain't watched that. Will not watch the anime. The manga. Oh, I could talk about just the manga. It's phenomenal. It even, for me, supersedes Hunter x Hunter. Coming in my 6th favorite manga, and it just so happens to be my 6th favorite character. It correlate. Kaneki Ken. This dude, Kaneki. I have said it before, and I've said it again. The most developed character in fiction history. Period. The most developed character. This character, Kaneki Ken. Yo, Kaneki, man. This dude, oh my gosh, where he starts off from to where he goes. And the fact is, the without going into all the detail, because he kind of was thrown into a world that he wasn't, you know, he just didn't know. He was thrown into this world and he had to figure out along the way. I can relate to that journey so very much. Different, but I can relate to it. Developing these abilities, giving these abilities, learning how to utilize these abilities, and finding your place. Neither both human angle or neither. Which side are you on? You know, where do you go from here? How does fate take place with you? A lot of questions, a lot of philosophical questions. And then, yo, the Aogiri Triarch. The change to the white. Yo, the white hair. White hair, chapter 6. Was it 69 that was legendary? Or was it 63? I'm trying to remember. Is it 69 or 63? That legendary chapter. I'm going with 63. That legendary chapter. And then the centipede. Yo, the centipede, the psychological torch. Oh my gosh. Him. And then from that point on, as he's slowly going on, and the whole cannibalism aspect, and the whole, all these things he dealt with. Him recognizing his insanity. So many voices in his head, so many influences that he had to deal with. Him wanting to protect, and the cost in which he wanted to do. Him trying to discover who he really is. So much depth to his character. The twist that turns with him, and then how it ends up in the doggone Anteku arc. Oh, the Anteku War. Kaneki Ken, it just brings a smile to my face. Just so beautiful writing, such eloquent writing, such a well done character. It's just absolutely fabulous what was able to be done. Now we in that top 5. Coming in at number 5. Just to mention, 2 characters from Kuroko no Basket. That Kuroko no Basket greatness, though. They make the list at numbers 5 and 4 respectively. Coming in number 5. I've said this many times, so this should not be a surprise. Akashi Seijuro. What all can I say about Akashi? This young man here. The dude personality. First of all, how Obito should have been, how Uchiha Obito should have been done. I've said it before, and I will continually say it. That's how it should have been done. Okay, and I've should have done a video about that a while back. Sometime maybe that'll come. Whenever it is whenever it is, right? This dude Akashi, the fact that he never lost in his life. Now that's very interesting, and that's in contrast with much of what I face. But his mentality, you know, people say he's cocky. I don't think him as cocky in the same facet. Now, to a degree, you got to be a little bit cocky if you really want to compete. But the way it was, he never lost, and he was told, you know, the whole perfectionist aspect. Now, I can relate to that growing up. It's part of my story as a kid. Okay, so I can very much relate to that. While I wasn't completely pressured, I wasn't really pressured in the same sense as he was. There was pressure on me at a young age, so I can relate to that. I can relate to being thrust into a leadership position, his will to win, you know, him wanting to win, him actually actually wanting to keep the team together and things falling apart. I can relate to that so much in the Takeover arc, one of the greatest flashback arcs of all time, by the way. The greatest flashbacks of all time. Let me just keep it real with the people. One of my all-time top 10 favorite arcs. Okay? And just him, again, the dual personality, like, and then him having that mental collapse. Till I collapse, I'm spitting these raps. Different from what Shady went, but seriously, the mental collapse. Shady, I'm talking about Eminem now. But yeah, the mental collapse that he had in the game, it just, the internal struggle, the demons that he was dealing with, man, is real. That's some real stuff. Unless you've experienced it, you don't know. People think this is just some crazy right now. And him flipping, you know. So it's I can relate to it from a psychological standpoint and to a lesser degree a philosophical standpoint. There's more to it, of course, but you know, we move on. Coming in number 4, Kuroko himself. Yo, Kuroko, the Phantom 6, man. Ever since, I've never been hyped from the first chapter. This series got me hyped straight off. Phantom 6, man. As a sports fan, I love sports. Okay, that's one of my 4 loves in life. As a basketball, I love basketball. Okay, it barely ekes out to be my favorite sport, but I love me some basketball. I grew up with basketball. Started playing when I was 7. Okay, this dude Kuroko and his struggles, his desires, a lot of who he is a lot of who I am on the court. Him not really caring about being that main dude. Him just caring about doing what it takes to help his team win, to get that W, to help others shine to be on the top. His struggle. Now, I am better athletically than he was, but I can relate to not being good. Best believe that I can definitely relate to that. I can relate to dealing in teams rallying around you as well. So I can relate to both Kakashi and Kuroko. But there's so much to Kuroko's character. Like, just these subtle little things about him. Funny, being invisible at times. I can relate to that. I can relate to, eventually fighting your way to being accepted by a group. I can definitely relate to that. Takeover arc once again. I can relate to being underestimated and overcoming the odds in a very unconventional, unorthodox way. I can very much relate to that. And there's so much more I can relate to his character, and also so many great elements about his character that I portrayed, I've either observed, experienced, or both. There's a part of me, or I've seen played out in life itself. Coming in at number 3, the only antagonist. By the way, the only female that makes the list is Toph from Avatar. But the only antagonist to make the list. It's not a villain. Antagonist though. Hanma Yujiro from the Baki series. Yo, Hanma Yujiro. The strongest creature alive. The ogre. This dude here, the back of the ogre. This dude, Hanma Yujiro. So complex. First of all, his mastery of all martial arts. Every martial art he comes across, he mastered. And that adaptability aspect, I can very much relate to it. Pretty much developing your own style. I can very much relate to that. Obviously, I'm not superhuman. Definitely not to his degree. But him having intelligence, as the series goes on, it just shows he's so intelligent. He's not just this brute. He's not just this, some guy that's just, this monster, as he's initially portrayed. There's depth to him. There's kindness. There's so many human elements within him. And in all seriousness, he's probably the most human character I've come across. Even though he's superhuman, even though he has this ogre demonic seeming presence, he is human. He is every bit human as you can get. In his superhuman and and almost supernatural state. It's a weird contrast, but it's so well done, so well executed throughout the plot. As each series goes on, it builds upon layers, and eventually Baki's son's acceptance, priming his son in perception, and eventually the relationship they build. Yo, the fact that his view about race, the fact with Muhammad Ali, that part with Muhammad Ali and new grappler Baki, the fact that this dude Yujiro is a true martial artist. It's about combat. It's about the love. He understands the elements about what it means to be a man. And now, do I agree with all his views? Of course not. But it doesn't matter, because his philosophies it makes you think. It really does make you think. He'll say a little subtle thing. He'll tell Baki, or he'll have a conversation with maybe a Rochidopo or whoever else, and it'll get you to sit back and it's like, you can't say he's wrong necessarily, and just so many things about him. It's just, this character is a character that pushes and not only makes a series great, but makes you appreciate and love literature as well as fiction. So much to the depth of Hamid Yujiro. He definitely deserves to be in my top 3. Coming in at number 2, people notice I'm not a fanboy. From the series One Piece, and One Piece crazy. Yeah, Baki's greatest too. Best believe it. From One Piece, Straw Hat, Monkey D. Luffy, Mugiwara. I've done videos about Luffy. I've talked about Luffy to a great extent. So much to love about Luffy. It really is. The charisma I can relate to. Is often laid back. He's more carefree than I am, definitely. When it comes to protection, he gets down. He knows what it is and what time it is. He's passionate about life. I often relate to doing things how I want to, when I want to, the way I want to. I can relate to that. Him being grounded upon his principles. Now, one of the key differences, the beauty about him is, me though, is as much as we're similar, is as much as we're different. My intelligence game in general is much more than him. He's more of a savant. He's a fighting genius, which I happen to not be. But I love, the adaptabilities, freestyle fighting. I can relate very much to that. The fact that he doesn't much care about history and other factors, I'm different from that, but I understand where it comes from. The fact is, a lot of people misinterpret his intelligence. A lot of people misinterpret him as a character. A lot of people don't understand him as a character. A lot of people don't understand me as a person. There's complexities, subtle complexities to him, as well as there's subtle complexities to me. There's a lot of things. He's probably the 4th most relatable character in anime and manga to myself. And things about Luffy, man. This dude, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn who you are, where you come from. He don't care what position. He gonna have to do what he have to do. He will throw them hands. He understands his role as a leader, as a captain. And as I grow, and it just so happens I'm growing with him, I can relate to his growth as a young man, as a man, okay? And understand this, the dude's 19, so I can get where he's coming from. So much love about it. And my favorite character in anime and manga history goes to none other than the protagonist of Dragon Ball itself. The one that got me into anime and manga. One of the all-time greatest characters, period, without question. Arguably the greatest hero of all time. Goku, Son Goku, Kakarot. This dude Goku, oh my goodness. His growth from childhood. I grew with him. You know what I'm saying? It's uncanny how much I grew with his character. It's uncanny. His struggles similar to my struggles. Obviously not fighting constantly and all these crazy events that go, but just internally, his characterization and character development. It's uncanny how much I grew from just watching it is because it reflected as like a mirror upon my own life. Okay, the principles in which he stood, which he instilled, the dilemmas, the moral and ethical dilemmas he dealt with. You know, many people question his decisions. He himself questioned his decisions, not in a deep manner like a lot of characters do, but in his future actions. You could tell that he changed, he matured. He goes from this wild child, literally, this child, you know, who's naive, innocent, and as he grows and as he battles, he deals with forces of evil. He has to come up against murder. He has to come up against, you know, morality. He has to find what it means to truly be a martial artist, what it truly means to be a warrior, what it truly means to be a man, what it truly means to be a father, a mentor, and eventually a mentor, a sensei. And the whole cycle of his life, going from the 12-year-old, you know, after the death of Grandpa Gohan, you go up through the tournaments, the world tournaments, and eventually being a father, which I haven't become yet, but you know, Lord willing, in the future soon, in a few years. Then eventually, you know, going through all this, having 2 sons, and eventually becoming his own sensei, to who, as the series concludes, and just as well as becoming a grandfather. I have to add that in too. But just watching him, it taught me a lot about life. It taught me a lot about who I can be versus who I don't want to be. You know, it made me think at a young age, and then rewatching made me think again as I'm older about various issues in life and the challenges you gotta face. And against insurmountable odds, what do? You understand? Never giving up, never quitting. I know you get that a lot, but putting in the hard work, combining it with your natural talents and gifts, and producing to something that becomes legendary, and still being humble, still being you, and still loving others, still relying on others, not like for a crutch, but recognizing that you alone, you know, you're not almighty. And this is showcased by what happened with the whole Android saga and eventually Cell saga. You know, so much can be said about Goku, but this video is long enough. I don't expect to want to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Who are some of your favorite characters and why? I'm really curious about that. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. Man, gotta love great, phenomenal characters.